Imagine a world without video games. No sprawling role-playing games, no fast-paced shooters, no puzzle games to test your mind. It's hard to picture now, but in the early 1950s, video games were nothing more than a glimmer in the eyes of a few pioneering engineers and mathematicians. These visionaries saw the potential of computers not just as calculating machines, but as tools for entertainment and interactive experiences. They dared to dream of digital worlds where players could control the action, where pixels on a screen could transport them to far-off lands and challenge them in ways never before imagined. The earliest video games were rudimentary affairs, constrained by the limitations of the bulky and expensive computers of the time. These early machines, often filling entire rooms, relied on vacuum tubes and punched cards for input, a far cry from the sleek consoles and powerful PCs we know today. Yet, even with these constraints, creativity flourished. One of the earliest examples, created in 1952, was a simple game of tic-tac-toe programmed on a massive EDSAC computer at the University of Cambridge. Dubbed OXO, this game used a cathode ray tube for display, pitting players against the computer in a digital duel of wits. While primitive by today's standards, OXO marked a pivotal moment, demonstrating the potential for human-computer interaction in the realm of games. A decade later, in 1962, a group of MIT students unleashed Spacewar, a game that would have a profound impact on the future of the industry. Using a PDP-1 mini-computer, these young programmers crafted a two-player experience that simulated a cosmic battle. This was a time when computers were still a mystery to the general public, and the idea of using them for entertainment was revolutionary. Players controlled spaceships, firing torpedoes at each other amidst a backdrop of twinkling stars. The game was simple yet captivating, with its gravity wells and strategic maneuvers adding layers of complexity. Spacewar was a revelation, spreading rapidly through computer labs and universities, becoming a cult classic among the burgeoning community of computer enthusiasts. It wasn't just the gameplay that drew people in, it was the sense of community and shared discovery. It was more than just a game, it was a social experience, a gathering point for those captivated by the possibilities of this new medium. People would come together, not just to play, but to discuss strategies, share tips, and marvel at the technology. Little did those MIT students know that their creation would lay the groundwork for the arcade boom that would soon follow. Spacewar inspired a generation of game developers and set the stage for the explosion of arcade gaming in the 1970s and 1980s, forever changing the landscape of entertainment. The visual and auditory landscapes of these early games were, by necessity, minimalist. Graphics were composed of simple geometric shapes and lines, often rendered in monochrome or a limited palette of colors. The iconic pixel, the fundamental building block of digital images, was born out of these technological constraints. Sound, when present, consisted of rudimentary beeps, boops, and static bursts, generated by the computer's internal speaker. Yet, despite these limitations, early developers exhibited remarkable ingenuity in conveying a sense of place, action, and excitement. They understood that the essence of a good game lay not in graphical fidelity, but in compelling gameplay, intuitive controls, and the ability to transport players to new and exciting worlds. Pushing the limits, overcoming hardware constraints. Early game developers were masters of improvisation, constantly pushing the boundaries of what was possible with the limited hardware at their disposal. Memory was a precious commodity, measured in kilobytes rather than the gigabytes we take for granted today. Processors were slow, and every line of code had to be carefully optimized for speed and efficiency. Yet these limitations fostered a culture of creativity and ingenuity. Developers devised clever workarounds, exploiting hardware quirks, and employing programming tricks to squeeze every last ounce of performance out of their machines. They became masters of illusion, using simple shapes and animations to create the illusion of depth, movement, and complexity. The rise of higher-level programming languages. The early days of game development were dominated by assembly language, a low-level programming language that required an intimate understanding of computer architecture. Programmers had to be well-versed in the intricacies of the hardware they were working with, often writing code that directly manipulated memory and processor instructions. While powerful, assembly language was notoriously difficult to work with, requiring programmers to write long, complex instructions for even simple tasks. This made the development process slow and error-prone, as every line of code had to be meticulously crafted and debugged. The advent of higher-level programming languages like C and C++ in the 1970s marked a significant turning point. These languages introduced a level of abstraction that made programming more accessible and less tedious. Developers could now write more readable and maintainable code. These languages abstracted away much of the low-level complexity, allowing developers to write code more efficiently and focus on higher-level game logic and design. This not only sped up the development process, but also reduced the likelihood of errors, making the codebase more stable and reliable. This shift paved the way for more complex and sophisticated games, as developers were freed from the shackles of low-level programming and could dedicate more time and energy to pushing the creative envelope. The result was a new era of video games that were richer in content, more engaging, and visually stunning, setting the stage for the modern gaming industry we know today. The building blocks of modern games middleware. As games grew in complexity, so too did the need for tools and libraries to streamline the development process. This led to the emergence of middleware, pre-built software components that provided developers with reusable code for common game functions. Graphics engines, physics systems, sound libraries, and networking protocols all became standardized components, saving developers countless hours of work and allowing them to focus on the unique aspects of their games. Middleware played a crucial role in the rise of the modern game industry, enabling smaller teams to create high-quality games that could rival the production values of their big-budget counterparts. The golden age of arcades and home consoles. The 1970s and 1980s witnessed the explosive growth of the video game industry, fueled by the rise of arcades and home consoles. Games like Pac-Man, Donkey Kong, Space Invaders, and Super Mario Bros. Became global phenomena, capturing the imaginations of millions and solidifying video games as a mainstream form of entertainment. Arcades became social hubs, packed with players eager to test their skills against the latest and greatest games. Home consoles like the Atari 2600 and the Nintendo Entertainment System brought the arcade experience into living rooms, forever changing the way people played games. The legacy of innovation, from pixels to polygons. The early pioneers of video games laid the foundation for an industry that continues to thrive and innovate today. Their relentless pursuit of pushing technological boundaries, coupled with their unwavering commitment to creating engaging and entertaining experiences, paved the way for the immersive, visually stunning, and narratively rich games we enjoy today. From the simple pixels of OXO to the complex polygons of modern 3D worlds, the evolution of video games has been marked by a constant desire to push the limits of what's possible. A lasting impact: early games and modern gaming. The legacy of early game development can be seen in every aspect of modern gaming. From the basic gameplay mechanics to the sophisticated graphics engines, the DNA of those early games is woven into the fabric of the industry. The spirit of innovation that drove those early pioneers continues to inspire developers today, as they strive to create experiences that are more immersive, more engaging, and more emotionally resonant. The games of today may be light years ahead of their predecessors in terms of technology, but the fundamental principles of good game design, those that captivated players in those smoky arcades and pixelated living rooms, remain timeless. The future of gaming, virtual reality, and beyond. Imagine a world where the boundaries between reality and fantasy are almost indistinguishable. As technology continues to advance at an unprecedented pace, we are witnessing a revolution in the gaming industry. The future of gaming promises to be even more exciting and transformative, with innovations that will change how we play and interact. Virtual reality and augmented reality are poised to blur the lines between the digital and physical worlds, offering experiences that are more immersive than ever before. These technologies are creating truly immersive and interactive experiences, making players feel as if they are part of the game itself. The advent of cloud gaming is breaking down the barriers between platforms, enabling a new era of accessibility and convenience. This allows players to seamlessly access their games on any device, anywhere in the world, without the need for expensive hardware. The future of gaming is bright, filled with endless possibilities and opportunities for innovation. As we venture further into the digital frontier, we are constantly pushing the boundaries of what is possible. We do so standing on the shoulders of the giants who came before us, those who laid the groundwork for today's advancements, the pioneers who dared to dream of a world where games could transport us to new and wondrous realms, opening up endless possibilities for the future of gaming.